Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Drink Edge podcast. Thanks for joining me. So today, got this idea yesterday when Cheryl and I were out in public, and it was on a Saturday, and people are getting into the Christmas shopping mode, and it shows people's character more than I believe the rest of the year. You still see it, but it definitely is there, and I think what we've lost in the society is caring for others. We It's the mode that I went into when Cheryl had cancer. I was going to do whatever it took. I was warrior mode. It's kind of what I called it. But there was nothing going to stop me, and you kind of lose the niceties and the just common courtesy that you have or should have the rest of the time. And I saw that a lot yesterday, and I've been seeing it a lot in society, period. Especially, and I'm not going to, I see it in the younger generation because I don't think they have had the upbringing that a lot of previous generations have had. Plus, they have their phone, and they seem to think that when they have their phone, they don't have to do the common courtesies like saying hello or just anything. They're busy on their phone, and they seem to think that's an excuse, and it doesn't fly. And it's the way society goes down because when you start doing common courtesies, not no longer doing common courtesies, we can become more like animals, and we are animals. We are, but we differentiate 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 ourselves. Easy for me to say, and I still don't think I got it right. From animals, although I think animals sometimes are having it more than we have right now, is taking care of each other, and opening doors for people, pushing carts back to your the cart corral. Um, just be nice. And yeah, everybody's in a hurry to get that gift or that sale or whatever it is. But it's like in the long term, it doesn't take a split second longer, hardly, to do any of that. Hold the door, say hello, especially when somebody says hello to you and you just look at your phone. And it's an excuse, and it's a bad excuse because we live in a society where we have to interact with each other. And I think there's too many people think that they're out for only me, myself. That's what they've got. It's like, I don't have to be nice. I don't have to have anything to do with anybody else because I could do everything on my phone. I don't have to. The person, I see it a lot in restaurants too, and I know a lot of people who have had restaurants because most of them have gotten out because the people are so rude and entitled, ego basically, that they don't do the restaurant anymore because the people don't have the common courtesy. If something's just not exactly right for them, they have a fit and they don't realize. And there's flies. The flies are terrible. So you're going to see flies on me. They're going to help me with the podcast, and you can definitely tell it's fall. And they know their end is coming soon. But they don't have that. These people in the restaurant have all these other things going on. If they see just me, you're not taking care of me, and the way I think it should be when all they have all these other people that feel the same way. And I think people more understanding that these people are working their butts off, and a lot of restaurants are barely making any money at all. The margin is so thin, but they don't see it that way. They just know that I'm having to wait, or I'm having to whatever it is. I'm having to be not as comfortable as I'd like to have it in this meal, and I'm paying big bucks for this, and and they have all these things that they're going to say for the rude behavior, and it still doesn't make it right. If you that and that's also one thing. What you put out, you will eventually get back. People don't think that, but you do. It's the way the world works. It is, and if you haven't gotten it back yet, you will. You definitely will. In the same way as if you put out great things, you have great things come back to you, and it isn't on a set timeline, but you will get back what you put out. And these people that are rude, they don't want them back in their restaurant. And the bad thing is, a lot of times these restaurants close because of their behavior, and the rest of us all suffer. And I think we're all suffering. We've had people run into our car and not even leave anything in the parking lot. That they ran into it, their insurance stuff. They just like, oh well, they'll have insurance, they can take care of it, or or just just common courtesy, being a nice, genuine human being that God created us to be. Um, and I see so much of it, and getting more and more with the phone, with the younger generation. I'm not saying all of them are that way, because there are some awesome kids and young adults out there, but there are so many. I mean, I've dealt with it when I go to the Y. The older, older. I would say mid-20s on up, maybe a little later than that. Don't they say hello? They want to chit chat, and it's very unusual for somebody younger to talk. They just get in their phone, and like I said, they use that as an excuse. And I have had some people that they've been amazed that I've gotten kids and young adults to talk, and I think they haven't been shown. They have not been shown, because I think we've dropped the ball in society to show. Um, and I think I blame society and parents. And I know parents are working their butts off because it's hard to make a living. So it's hard to actually, it is hard to actually take the time to show your kids how it should be. But I do see people that I know are struggling that are still doing that with their kids. And yeah, it's easier initially to not show your kids how it's done. Just let them be, basically not have any manners, not have anything. And we're also not showing these kids how it is to have a family, how it is to grow up and have support. We just and partly it is we're having to work so many jobs, but it is something that still doesn't take that much longer to show your kids discipline. That's another thing. These kids, I see them running wild. They're destroying things in the store, and the parents are like, "Oh, it's just there's nothing wrong. They're fine." But in the meantime, they're destroying merchandise for that business owner, and they don't seem to see something wrong there. And there's a big problem there when they don't see something wrong. The kids are going to think, "Well, mom and dad, never mom or the parents, I should say, don't see any wrong. So why should I?" Because the parents set the tone. And I think for our society to get better, we have to go back. And I'm not going to say we're going to go back to like the 50s and 60s and like the Leave It to Beaver era, because I think that was probably way more than it even was that way. But we have to have where, why don't we sit down and have meals and talk to the kids, teach them how to conversate, because it's an art. It's something that I've learned, because anybody who's watched this or listened to this podcast knows that I didn't talk at all hardly in school, but I have learned how to talk quite a lot. And you can ask anybody on that I have found my voice, but it was something that I learned and I'm still learning. But when the parents don't show these kids the way, how are they going to learn? They're going to learn from their phone if they, and you're not going to learn a lot of that on your phone. You learn to basically zone in on it, and you think you can ignore the world. Well, the world always has a way of coming back in. Sorry to say that, but it does. But I think we've let our kids down, but we've let too much go on in society that it's like, oh, it's okay, it'll pass. And yeah, it'll pass, but it makes a society that, do we really want to live in it? Where people, like if you're at a red light and you could turn, but you've chosen not to turn, and somebody behind you starts laying on the horn. And it's like, it's a few seconds, get over it. Are you really in that much of a hurry? Because usually, and I'm one of them, if you do that to me, I'm going to make sure I'm going to stay there. Plus, you are mad and I'm mad. So what did we gain there? Life is not to be lived in a hurry. And we live too much in a hurry. And the excuse is that, have so much to get done. Well, there's a lot of things we could get done if we weren't on our phone so much, or social media, or watching movies on, and I know it's chill time, but we all need downtime. And yeah, the flies agree with me. And yeah, and Cheryl and I've tried to get rid of these flies. They have been so bad this fall. And we are clean, and we clean numerous times a day. So yeah, we've talked to the people with the same thing. Nobody seems to be able to get rid of the flies this year, which is very interesting. But I digressed on there. So, but yeah, as a society, we need to take care of each other, because what you do, you get back, and eventually you will need help. I don't care if it's in your old age. It may be when you get, some disease, or you get cancer, or there's always going to be a time where you need a person. No man or no woman is an island, and that is a saying that is very true. You will always need somebody to help you. And I think the sooner we teach these kids that, and that they can't escape on their phone, because it's not teaching them anything. It's actually like a pacifier. They're not being taught how to be a part of society. And it shows. It shows our society in the United States is really getting worse. I don't know what. I don't know what to say. It's not the society I grew up with, and I grew up a few decades ago. But um, there are young people out there that give me hope, but there are so many out there that and a lot of times it's single parents. And I'm of the mind that I don't care if it's man, man, woman, woman, traditional. They need two parents. And I mean, sometimes there's stuff where illness or death, takes the one parent. But I think that should be the exception rather than the rule. We seem to think that it's easy to raise children with two parents, but let alone one. I admire anybody who raises good kids with one parent, and some have no support, and I feel for them greatly. And a lot of times those parents do a better job than when there's the two parents. And I also think this being entitled, I see that on the other end, where these people who have wealth don't think they need to really be polite either. They put, it reminds me of the caste system. Cheryl and I were talking about this in India. And it's just like, well, I have money. I don't have to do anything to really even talk to these people. I'm better because I have money. This is going to be an interesting podcast with the flies going by. So, but oh well, that's the way the world works. It's cool. It's all cool. So, and actually, there was supposed to be another podcast here that I recorded this past Wednesday. But technology is great when it works. But when it doesn't, you just gotta go with the punches and go with it. And it's just today's world. But getting back to, I think when I grew up, I had my grandparents both sides. I'm traditional. I had my sister, grew up in a very traditional home. And I think that actually I know it was a gift and a blessing. And I see it more now the older I get. But I do see so many kids. I see so many kids just not being paid attention to. I see them walking around with their phone. And I see babies having phones in their hand. You should not be doing that. And I'm gonna go out on that. You should not be having young children have a phone. That's when their brain and everything is developing. And you are supposed to be the parent raising those children, not giving them a phone. You are supposed to be keeping them from that. You're supposed to be keeping them from music that has terrible language in it anymore. And why we got away as a society thinking some of these words and stuff is all right is beyond me. There's a big clue that something's wrong. And some of these movies, I mean, what happened to movies that you didn't go to, or even on TV? It's disgusting, And I'm getting on my soapbox here again, and I date myself on that. But all that stuff, everything, the music, the movies, giving the kid a phone at a very young age, all comes back. Everything comes back to society. Everything comes back to you. And next time you're not pushing the cart back to the corral, next time you're not holding the door for somebody that really could use it, or just being nice, or next time you don't say hello, next time you don't smile at somebody, you scowl at them because it's like I don't need to smile at you. You will eventually get that back. In your old age when you can't open the door, or the cart corral, the cart's just right there in the parking lot and you can't you need to park in that space, but the cart's in the way and you can't get out unless you have a full space because you have like a walker or whatever it is. It all comes back. And I think we're very short-sighted. And I know we're short-sighted on that as a society. And I know people want us to build back and all this other stuff, as a society. And we've all become, and it shows. Oh, it shows. We're so, right, left. What's your political party and everything? And it's like that. And I got asked that so much as this past election. Well, I'm independent, and I got so tired of both sides. We're Americans, and we should be doing stuff. We should be doing stuff as Americans. We shouldn't care about a party. In fact, I don't know why we still have parties. I think the party should have long ago been abolished. We're Americans. We should want the best for this country and everybody in it. And sometimes I'm ashamed because that's one thing of this podcast. I get so many people saying, you guys have become the laughing stock of the world. You don't have universal health care. You bicker continually about who's red, who's blue, and everything else. And when you have so many problems you need to solve, but you're not solving because you're wondering who the party is or what their party is. And, eventually that comes home to roost too, because eventually your country goes down the tubes. You have to work together. We have to work together as a country united. United we stand, divided we fall. And that is a saying that will occur. And it will occur every time, no matter if it's the United States or some other entity. So, but we don't seem to see that. We get so diverse on what our opinions are, our political opinions and everything, and who's going to be in there. And I'm watching this with how people are so, I guess somebody committed suicide because Trump got, elected. It's like, oh my gosh, what a waste. I mean, really, God, and I've said this before, God's in charge. Who's in the political office, in Washington, D.C. is really pretty irrelevant. But we need to work to get universal health care. Anybody, and Cheryl and I have dealt with it, and we have some friends that are dealing with it right now, it will break you. We don't have health care in this country. We think we have health care in this country, or health insurance, let's say. We don't have health insurance. Maybe the private one, people can afford private, but the Affordable Care Act is not insurance. It is a joke. It's making you think you have insurance, which is what they would like you to think because they don't want you to have real insurance. Just try and use something on your Affordable Care Act insurance, and you'll find out that they may cover that, they may not cover that. Or this is way more than we have agreed to pay on that particular item, and it's inexcusable for a country of our stature to not have universal health care. And I think, actually, as I talked to this gal in Sweden, I think it's inexcusable not to have where higher education is also covered. And I think what they have in Sweden is so much more advanced than we have. And Sweden is a great country. Everybody's like, well, like Canada. And I'm not thinking Canada's healthcare is that great because I know they have to wait for a long time to get in there. But Sweden doesn't seem to be that way. So why don't we, as a country, go and see what is the best in everything? Healthcare, how to take care of whatever this is or that, or, and be the best in the world. But right now, we're going towards the bottom. And people laugh at me because it's like, why do you stay there? And, there's been times, especially recently, I wonder why I stay here when we're dealing with the BS that we have to deal with in this country. And then the political thing, and I've talked about this in previous ones, why the only people that can run for office are ones that have either backed with somebody, which is always interesting, or have deep pockets. Nobody in the rest of the people in this country can't run for office because they don't have the wherewithal. There's something very wrong there too. So, there's a lot of things, but there's a lot of things right in this country. I love this country. I love where I live in Nebraska. Nebraska gets a lot of things right. There's a lot of things that we could learn from Nebraska. I mean, we have to have a balanced budget. We don't run deficits. We have public power. We have unicamp. There's a lot of things. Nebraska does it differently. Nebraska does it right on a lot of things. A lot of things. Our power is cheaper because we basically own it. Even what I'm using here on my internet, we own it. In fact, at the end of the year, whatever's left over, they divvy it up in a check back to the people who, that own it, basically. And it's always nice to get a check back from a company that we own, cooperative, basically. And we have some of the best internet probably in the world. Right now, this is 1 gig that I'm using right here. And I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So, I'm just saying there's people and entities, countries, states that are doing it right. Why are we not looking at those things and getting this the way we should be doing it, including raising children? There's so many countries out there that are raising children better, that are more polite. That's one thing. Italy, I go back to Italy. Italy was refreshing. I mean, Italy is definitely different than the United States, but it was. The people were so friendly, and that they knew another language, as most of them I've said, knew English. Surprised me a lot. Food was so much better. Another reason, why do we let these big corporations put this poison basically in our food? It's not allowed in a lot of other countries, but we still keep on putting it in there. We should be on outrage with them putting it in our food. And then it's kind of like, I wonder, it's like, so it makes us sick. So we need to get, more medical care, and makes me wonder very much on that. So yeah, it's there's a lot of things we need to get right in this country that we have let slip. We need to get back to having our food be wholesome. We need to get back to a family, whether it's man and man, woman, I'm not going to say that I'm not loving family, I should say. And yeah, and get these kids educated. Put cursive back in there so they can read the Declaration of Independence. You need cursive. Cursive teaches you a lot of things just in general when you learn it. And it may not be used much nowadays, but there are still places where you need it to read it, and teach them that what they do comes back. If you're only going to be on the phone all the time, and that should be actually, the phone should not be in school. There, we didn't have school. We did not have phones in the school because they weren't invented yet. But we still the parents still got a hold of us, and we needed that. And it worked. The phones need to go away during school period. If nothing else, that would be a time where they would have to interact. At home, that's leaves it up to the parent or the guardian. But you're teaching those kids that they don't have to be part of society, which is a lie to them. It's a lie to them and a lie to society, because you're hurting society. That these kids are going to be coming up and helping society when they're not going to know how, because they've been on their phone avoiding, reality. And yeah, I see it every day. I mean, it's just yesterday when Sean and I were out and about. This is Central Nebraska. People are in such a hurry and being rude. And Cheryl and I were out there, and we were just chilling, And people don't have to be. They don't have to be in the warrior mode that they're going to get that big screen TV, at the best price, or they're going to, whatever it is they're searching, And then the like somebody said, we do Thanksgiving and then we have Black Friday, where people act like animals, worse than anybody else in the country, in the world. Basically, it's talk about embarrassing. Getting more material stuff, and this not material stuff is nice, but not what it's about. Um, yeah, and you can be happy with so much less. In fact, I think people that have less sometimes are happier, because that's when you get genuine connections, and you talk to people, and you deal with people because you're going through some stuff that, and you find out who's got your back, and that's worth so much more than stuff. And yeah, I think on that. But yeah, we need to, as a society, to tie this all up, we need to get our manners back. We need to be pleasant. We need to hold doors. We need to get together for. We need to get together for a lot of things. People used to get together every Sunday, and now we hardly get together for Thanksgiving because we're ready to go shop the next morning and get stuff that really we don't need. That good deal, and you'll find out someday, maybe on your deathbed, that really the time spent with family is so much more than pretty much anything else in your life. And I think so many people are missing that. And I think that's also why so many people are unhappy and rude. I think it's just coming back around. And because when you're happy, um, like I said, what you put out, you get back. And I think when you're happy, you put out more happy. And if you're not happy, you put out, like we're getting most of the people in the country, in a hurry, rude, get out of my way. And yeah, I think I'll leave it right there. What you do put out, you get back. So next time you're in a hurry and not holding a door or not pushing your cart back or whatever it is, just remember that. So thank you for joining me on this episode of the Dreamcatcher podcast. I look forward to you rejoining me on the next episode. And until then, take care. Bye.